What's the worst random boner you've ever gotten? I was at a Christmas gathering with family when I was 11 or 13. We were sitting in a circle on chairs chatting with each other. I noticed I started getting hard, but I was already sitting, so I was able to hide it pretty well. Then my cousin, who is a year younger than me, seeing there are no empty chairs, tries to sit in my lap. I didn't have any time to say much, so I hollered loudly that I needed to go to the bathroom and launched myself out of the chair while trying to face my body away from the general group as quickly as possible. This girl was playfully bullying me, thoroughly kicking my ass and biting me. A fetish was discovered that day. Erection while in line for breakfast at college. Got embarrassed and only grabbed a muffin. Covered boner with muffin and walked to where friends were sitting. Got accused of fucking muffin. Became the muffin man for the next 2 months. First time I was in my current girlfriend's bed, right after we started dating, she was sobbing after she got some really bad news. Brain. I must comfort this girl, she needs me in this time of strife. Penis. We sex now, yes. In the Navy, I was attending training with my division, given by my division officer. I was struggling to stay awake, and my divo noticed. Naturally, he asked me to come up to the whiteboard to explain an answer to a question. He said, "Petty Officer Tatterlauncher, come up here and explain X." I replied, "Sir, that is not possible right now." He looked perplexed and asked, "Why not?" I replied, "Training boner, sir." He said, "Very well," and continued the instruction. My first real job. It was my first time with a requirement to wear khakis. The ones I was wearing were quite smooth. I became aroused. The only other 2 people working in the office were women. One noticed and said to the other, "Cheryl, X has an erection. It's huge." I was both horrified and surprised. Boner before a presentation in English, I was so stiff that I had to tell the teacher I wasn't ready. Pretty much this, but it was algebra and I refused to go to the board to work out an equation. She sent me to the principal's office for insubordination, so I walked to the principal's office with my backpack over my junk. I had a similar experience, so as I stood up for the walk to the front of the class, I dropped my pencil and then bent over to pick it up and proceeded to kick it about 4 feet in front of me. Then I stayed crouched and walked forward to pick it up and kicked it again about 4 feet in front of me. Rinse and repeated that until I was confident my boner had died a bit and was close to the front of the room. There was a chemistry bench that came up to my waist and I gave my presentation with a half chub. I asked my buddy if anything was weird about my presentation. He said, "The presentation was fine, but that lame attempt at hiding your boner was awkward as fuck. Avogadro, your turn to present. Oh okay, oops, dropped my pencil, haha, let me get that, oops, accidentally kicked it, haha, ho dang, kicked it again. Oops, kicked it again, nervous laugh, wow, I'm just so clumsy, I kicked it for the 7th time." I was in chemistry class working on a lab. The weird and slightly socially awkward girl noticed and got visibly entertained. At least it made someone happy. That's more than any of us can say. A female friend was sobbing in my arms. Fucking dick being a dick. Not now, lil dude. It's just your sympathy boner saying hello. In a project meeting at work, texted my boss sitting across from me and explained I have a problem standing up. He got the message and began the presentation himself before I jumped in. Good boss, shame he left. Alright folks, I'm gonna kick off this presentation and then Keeperjum will jump in when he loses that boner. Let's begin. Not me but a past coworker. We were in lifeguard training and were split out on teams. He ended up on a team with 4 female cheerleaders. He boasted about how lucky he was. Anyhow, the drill was a possible neck injury bottom of pool rescue. He was the victim. One of the girls had to dive down and put him in essentially a reverse motorboat position and swim him to the edge of the pool, where he then had to be strapped down to the board. Midway through being strapped down, he pitched a tent. All girls noticed laughing occurred. He went to fix it and the instructor told him that unconscious people do not move. That was the last day of lifeguarding for him. The year was 2001. 3rd period English. My teacher was a 23-year-old first-year teacher and she was a knockout that was wearing a particularly tight dress that day. I was a horny 16-year-old that had to give a presentation on the Odyssey and I popped a boner about a minute before I had to get up and talk. So being the resourceful teen that I was, I discreetly secured it in the elastic waistband of my underwear. About halfway through the presentation I made an unfortunate combo of arm movements that caused the waistband to rise ever so slightly and release the beast. It is important to remember that in the early millennium in the Midwest, loose-fitting pants were all the rage, and when you were pitching a tent in those spacious slacks, it was easy to tell how roomy, or not so roomy, said tent really was. But I powered through and got my A. I'm pretty sure it was a pity A, but I like to think she saw something impressive that day. I got a boner while consoling a friend after her brother's cancer diagnosis. She had her arms around me like a python, sobbing uncontrollably. Her face against my shoulder, tears soaking through my shirt. I'm trying to be strong, supportive and comforting, and it's like wow, schwans. Not now. Inapprops. Just tell her you were thinking of her brother. I was laying in bed in the morning asleep and was woken by my wife grabbing my dick. This was a huge welcome surprise, so I rolled over to engage, opened my eyes, and saw my 2-year-old daughter's giant 4-tooth grin smiling at me. Without thinking, I shoved her so hard she flew off the bed. Turns out the surprise wasn't that welcome after all. I was 17 and went together with my parents to spa. I was sitting in jacuzzi when this hot girl came in. I instantly got boner and Colt leave the pool for next 30 minutes. My father was laughing his ass off because he know what's up, and my mother was yelling at me to get out cause we were leaving. There was no option or solution how to get outside the pool without swinging my dong into everyone's faces. So I sit there awkwardly for 30 minutes shamed to death. Okay, so we were watching the church sermon from home because my wife was sick. Laying in bed just relaxing. Well, you guys know how it is, so since we were home I decided to free the snake and not keep him trapped in my boxers. My wife notices and now she always teases me about having a heart on for Jesus. My family never lets me live this one down. I was about 5 or 6 and my family was on vacation in Greece. We were in a taxi and my grandpa was in the passenger seat and my cousin, my mom, and I were in the back. I randomly got my first boner and I started screaming, oh my god, it's getting so big, and I ended up pulling it out and I started slapping it like a punching bag. Everyone in the car was dying laughing other than my grandpa, who had never been so ashamed. Vasectomy prep nurse was hot as fuck shaving my balls. Meantime, she's holding my incredibly hard cock the same way you grip the handlebars on your bike. Shaving away. The doctor comes in, laughs and says, I can see my nurse is exciting you. I'll have her leave. I was mortified. I'll have her leave. No, let her stay. Strapped down to a gurney in a pool surrounded by people for first aid training. The instructor yelled, call a lumberjack, we got wood. And everyone started to laugh. Seeing as that was the worst cock-involved incident to happen to me in Boy Scouts, I think I was pretty lucky. One day during a bath, I decided to send a random boner pic to my pregnant wife. Unfortunately, in my masturbatory haze, I accidentally sent the pic to a list of people on my phone designated for soon-to-come baby pictures. While frantically trying to find the button on my phone that reverses time and space, my dad replies, I see you're ready to make us some more grandkids. Fuck my life. During my first breakup. It was amicable, and we were both sitting down and had both been crying. She kissed me on the forehead as she was about to leave, and boom, I got a boner. No idea why. There was absolutely nothing sexy about that moment. It was one of the worst days of my life. The human body is so strange. Perhaps it was your D saying also goodbye. It was reaching back out for a hug. Your body was hoping for some breakup sex. Grade 8 was at a winter camp with my class. Boys slept in one room, girls the other. I wake up one morning and jump out of bed in my loose-fitting PJs to wake everyone up. Lo and behold, I got my first morning wood, and everyone laughed and told all the girls about my millimeter Peter.